Okay, we're back on camera and the mics are definitely live now. So we need to be PG now. So it's good. All right, we got HellRaisers coming up against Virtus.pro 2 times in a row. First time is going to be on Overpass. Then we'll be going to Cash. Give me some initial thoughts on how you guys think this one will turn out.
I'm not sure how it will turn out, but I hope that HellRaisers win the first one and that we have everything on the line for the second one.
Oh, Schneider is the fifth as well, and they have been interested in signing him for a while. From what I can understand, he seems to be standing in for them quite a bit. So, anyway, thoughts as well, Natus?
It's hard for me to say. I think HellRaisers, we touched on this before with Angel, very good Overpass player, but the problem for me is that HellRaisers have only really beaten Tier 2 and Tier 3 teams recently on Overpass. They haven't really been tested that much. Their only notable victory, I think, was like a 16-12 against NIP recently. So that's all well and good, beating teams that probably shouldn't be beating you. But when there's a big, team against you, that's really where your strats start to get tested. So I'm not entirely sure what to think of this. My brain is telling me to go VP. My heart's telling me to go for HR.
All right. Well, sorry. The game is actually starting, so I'm gonna hand it to you guys, and I won't come in and steal the last round of commentary like I did last time. I apologize profusely. Take it away.
Well, don't promise yet because you don't know how your timing's gonna work out.
I'm so sad they didn't catch what you said before you went live. I'm so sad right now. Maybe another day. Maybe another day. But we are live, as Dan said, into Overpass between HellRaisers and Virtus.pro. Now, I do believe that VP can't qualify now. Is that correct? Dan?
You'd have to get confirmation from the smart people with the standings in front of them.
VP need one win out of the next two. Okay, so
Virtus.pro need they need to split the series.
That's pretty much it right now. HellRaisers are doing the damage across the board. It's a 3-on-3. Bomb has been planted, but plenty of players are one bullet away from death. 2-on-2 now. TaZ does pick up the frag onto kUcheR, and that leaves Angel all by himself, the man in question. The beast on Overpass, but this is such a tough ask, and wow, what a shot from Snax. As Angel jumps up, he just gets smashed back down again, and VP do take the pistol.
Yeah, that was a shame we didn't see that from Snax's POV, because it looked like it was a nice flick just over the box as Angel was jumping. I was going to say before we went live that I actually kind of like HellRaisers Overpass. I've always thought that this is a map that actually plays to the advantages of how Angel likes to lead his team, because he always likes to be a little too aggressive, and this is actually a map where he pays to be too aggressive on the CT side. You want to always try to get information and slow the terrorists down early on. The problem is if you get picked off, then that's very problematic. You need to know exactly when to fall back.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. For me, I think the key, we talk about key areas in each map. You've got like some drop zone in Cobblestone. I think Connector is absolutely vital on a map like Overpass. And as you said, that's where if you're aggressive on the CT side and get someone in there, you really can get the work done. As I'm speaking though, in this upgraded pistol round from HellRaisers, they do get a frag, but two of their own players have fallen in the process. So VP looking good here to take their second round. Unless the Deagles have something to say about it. This is pretty much a deco in the full sense of the word right now.
Yeah, they really didn't go all in on this, and I think that's kind of smart, because Overpass, like we said, it's a map where you have to play aggressively at first before falling back. Otherwise, you're going to let the terrorists execute too easily later on. So you need to have good equipment for the first round.
Absolutely. Doesn't look like HellRaisers can do too much here to stop the onslaught. Only two players remain. Schneider, the fifth, of course. Schneider is definitely rated as a fantastic player. What's your take on him? Do you think we were talking before as well about the differences in language, wondering how Schneider would fit in, like two players speaking Russian, two players speaking, I think, an entirely different language altogether. I'm very curious how he's going to fit into this one.
Yeah, that's just a very interesting dynamic. I didn't think that the current G2 team, former Kingwin team, could work, and they've been doing very well. So maybe they can make this work. I think Schneider is a very good player. Always kind of, never been able to be completely sure about his motivation, because he did quit on Fnatic, basically, when he got kicked out of the team, along with Devilwalk, when they brought in the later on world best players, Crimson, all of Meister. And I think the reason back then was that he didn't want to live in a gaming house with them for a month before an event. So, that's always sort of thing. You don't want to do that as the round plays out here. Actually, we'll continue that story in a second.
Well, it seems like they're getting destroyed anyway, to be fair. Although kUcheR, I've got a P250. I was going to say that one of these players was low, Snax was down to 12, but it didn't matter at the end of the day. VP will pick up their 3rd round. Here comes the buy from HellRaisers. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. You don't quite know where Schneider's head is.
Yeah, exactly, because he's, you know, he's also one of those players who's come and gone a couple times. He's sort of kind of semi-retired. He's been gone for 6 months, comes back here and there. And it wasn't like Fnatic wanted to move to like a permanent gaming house from how I've been told. It's they wanted to live together for like 4 weeks and boot camp and try to get to the next level after like months of bad results. And he just wasn't willing to do that. So that kind of sends a bad message of like, how dedicated is he really? But of course, you know, that was a long time ago and things could have changed by now.
Definitely, people do change for sure. Maybe Schneider isn't it 100% right now. That was a pretty tasty grenade as well from HellRaisers. It knocked both byali and TaZ down pretty low. And Angel did eat a bit of damage in return. But so far, so good for HellRaisers. They have a defuse kit. They still got plenty of grenades to play with. There is, however, still a minute on the timer for VP to try and force on into these sites. There's the flashbang through the smoke. Is Pasha going to push? Yes, he is. And it lands in the face of kUcheR. He's gone down. There was another flashbang that came down. I'm not sure if Pasha knows there's a player behind the barrels right now. He could be caught out. It looks like that's going to be the case. No, he gets the frag on Schneider. And a 3rd as well. How is that possible? He's still alive. A single solo performance from Pasha, just turning this round on its head and potentially giving VP a 4-0 lead.
Well, it was first of all a nice round by Pasha getting those kills, but Schneider really dropped the ball on that the second shot. He definitely should have killed Pasha, and that would have at least given HellRaisers a chance at this round. Right now, Oskar just trying to save his op for the next one. Might not be able to do it as he's being chased by 4 angry Polish players.
Did he go for the 360 no-scope?
Yeah, he did.
He's like, screw it, I've got to somehow salvage those previous 2 misses.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a way to salvage it, but Neo's knife just too strong. It's going to make it 4-0. HellRaisers on a save round and a very good start for Virtus.pro.
Already looking a bit dangerous for HellRaisers. And it's the manner in which they've lost these rounds as well that's giving me a bit of caution. It's not a case that they've got to bring it down to the 1v1s. Pasha basically just solo Rambo'd up there, and I completely agree. Schneider should have done better, for sure. But still, Pasha with the 3 frags where it counts. And again, the grenade does the early damage, but this time HellRaisers have no weapons to fall back on. It's just pistols, no weapons, or no utility, I should say, to follow it up. But maybe kUcheR doesn't need that. He's got a deagle, and he's picked himself up 2 frags before biting the dust, courtesy of a grenade from Pasha. byali pushes on through, 2 CTs hanging in the smoke, and a 3rd coming up from behind, which is going to be Schneider. STYKO is down, so is Angel, Schneider, and Oskar, all that remain for HellRaisers. Make that just Schneider. He comes through with a deagle. He can't get anything done, and VP do move 1 step closer.
That was a nice turnaround by Virtus.pro there. After those 2 early deagle kills by kUcheR, it was looking kind of dangerous because he was also able to escape. He wasn't getting taken out right after the 2nd kill. But I guess HellRaisers sort of overextended. They probably should have played a little more passive at that point. But you always have that feeling when you're up in numbers. You want to get that kill that actually secures the round. And it just didn't come in that round.
I guess another thing as well for HellRaisers, knowing that they were still behind in weaponry, kind of forced the issue for them.
Yeah, exactly.
If you get those 2 kills, you can sense the blood in the water and you try and pounce, and unfortunately this time it didn't work.
Snax with 3 openers this round.
Just ridiculous. He was doing this as well earlier on Train, on T-side. He was an absolute beast.
Yeah, he's been playing very well today, as usual. As Oskar runs through the molly, doesn't escape it, and would have burned alive even if Neo got killed there.
Yep.
On 6-0 now, not that much money on HellRaisers, and it's looking fairly lopsided early on in this game.
It's a bit of a worry right now. You've got Schneider, who, by the way, is on for his James Bond. He's 006 right now. Yeah. And a player of his caliber. That makes for painful reading, honestly. You're not expecting him to be the player that's struggling.
Yeah, and the problem especially is if things start going wrong in a team where your communication isn't good, it's going to be a lot harder to figure out how to fix it. If things go well, it doesn't matter if you're able to communicate or not. If everything's hitting shots and everybody's kind of playing off of each other, you can do that without crazy communication if you click as players in game. But when things don't work out well, it's a lot harder for these guys to communicate with each other and try to figure out what exactly it is that they're doing that isn't working and how to solve their issues.
That's exactly it, especially if Schneider doesn't have that much cohesion with him to start off with, like not many set strats to fall back to. That makes it even more difficult. I mean, even if you all spoke the same language, that would be hard at the best of times. And HellRaisers, after going for the buy-up with a couple of FAMASes, I think they had a Mag 7 in play as well, find that oskar and kUcheR will be momentarily silenced. And in the 7th round, Virtus.pro already are looking to pick up their 7th round. Unbelievable stuff here. The bomb has been planted. Angel is going to return back with 1 frag, but they don't have a defuse kit to work with here, and just a flashbang. And Angel's also died, so VP will be claiming this round.
Yeah, HellRaisers are just going to save their weapons, which is a smart move here. There's no chance for them to retake this site. So far, it just looks like Virtus.pro is just running over HellRaisers. They're basically attacking the B side fairly quickly every round, and they're catching HellRaisers players who are playing aggressive off guard. I mean, HellRaisers keep doing aggressive pushes early on, like we talked about, but the problem is they get killed. They're not just taking over areas where it's relatively safe and trying to delay Virtus.pro as much as possible using smokes and other grenades, but in fact, they're sort of challenging, and they're going for those duels until someone dies, and so far every single time it's been them.
And this kind of brings us full circle to something we touched upon before. I think it was when Titan were playing, that sometimes the simple strats are just the best ones, right? Virtus.pro haven't done anything too out of the ordinary. They haven't done anything too sexy or different. It's just been solid strats that have been working, executed to perfection.
Yeah, the thing is, if you play very simple, there's very few things that you can mess up yourself. It just comes down to you hitting shots at the end of the day. Whereas if you do very complex stuff, ooh, it's a nice shot by Angel. If you do very complex stuff, there's a lot more that can go wrong before you even get to shoot at people.
This is shaping up to be a great round for HellRaisers. Snax is next in line. He's got 9 HP. He's finished off. And now byali in a 1 versus 4. It's not fantastic weapons for HellRaisers, but it doesn't matter. What a fantastic round. Angel opens things up with that 1 deke. They wrapped round as well through connector. We spoke about this before, that connector is so important for the CTs to hold on to because it allows you to come around the back of the Ts and really crush their rotations. So HellRaisers on the board, but again, they're going to fall into that same territory again. They've got to keep it going. Don't wipe away that round loss.
Yeah, that was a very chaotic round overall.
For
We
sure.
talked about before how Virtus.pro maybe thrives a little bit in chaos. Well, I think HellRaisers is another team that can be set, that you can say the same thing about.
And Chaos is really the only thing they could hope for there when they effectively only had pistols. Like those are the kind of moments where you need that kind of warfare to work your way. And it certainly did. But again, backs against the wall right now. This is a huge pressure cooker round for HellRaisers. And even if they do win, this is still a long way to go before they get back to towards even. HellRaisers, I mean, for me, would probably need to win the rest of these rounds, or at least get 6. Any less than 6, I think this is already like shaping up to be VP's map.
Yeah, and even if they get 6, they'd still kind of need to win the pistol round.
Exactly.
Second half.
Yeah.
So far, looking very good for Virtus.pro. I don't think there's any question about that.
Can they keep this going
And
forward though?
Five-person push from long.
Yeah. Speaking of simple strats, it is a case of just getting those mollies, the grenades. You just see all of the traces right now. It is raining grenades onto the A side and hasn't really done any damage at all to HellRaisers. There we go. Neo finally lands the upshot. oskar beforehand, though, did chime in with his. So 4 and 4. TaZ has managed to snake his way through bank, round the back of the CTs. And I'm sure Schneider is scratching his head, wondering what the hell just happened. TaZ claims a 2nd frag. STYKO and Angel, the last 2 remaining CTs, one of which Angel will pick up the kill. Both terrorists are very low as well. The bomb planted in the smoke. Oh, pasha and TaZ both come in with frags. They're both on around 20 or below HP. It doesn't matter.
It's a very sneaky play by TaZ. He basically just walked out of bank inside of the smoke and just hung out there. Obviously, at the end of the day, when you're inside of a smoke, there's another guy around you. It sort of comes down to luck, who sees who first. But considering how low TaZ was on health, that was a very smart play. That was a risk you want to take. Because if pasha trades a kill, it comes down to a 1v1, they know where you're at, you're probably not going to win with 5 health.
Yeah. They can see the importance as well for HellRaisers. The fact they won that round and effectively an eco allows them to still buy up even though their round loss has been wiped clean. It's not a great buy though. I think it's safe to say with 2 FAMASs, a Mag 7, only 1 defuse kit, and a lack of grenades. You can see at the top the equipment value heavily stacked in the T's favor.
It's a tough sell, put it that way.
Definitely. That's a decent way of starting things off though. STYKO with a frag will be able to scurry his way back to the site. A clear-cut kill there for him.
And that's the kind of aggression that is needed on this map. He was still playing far enough back that he wasn't really necessarily either getting a kill or getting killed. He was just spotting people.
It's like controlled.
And this time happened to connect.
Yeah, absolutely. Controlled aggression there from STYKO, and that's pretty huge. And now he's just chilling in the smoke again. So when that smoke dissipates, he's going to be there on point. He's tapping through. Snax gets the frag. byali spins around, gets that kill through the smoke into the head of Angel. Another 2-on-2. Last this time, of course, it did go the way of Virtus.pro, and it seems that could be a repeat performance. kUcheR, last player for HellRaisers, has a FAMAS, but nothing else to his name.
That was incredibly unlucky by Angel. He was just walking behind one of his teammates at long and got spammed through the smoke by byali. One of his first bullets, too. That was incredibly unlucky. kUcheR now in a 1v2 situation. Virtus.pro just holding the fortress with 14 seconds.
Oh, there's the avenging frag.
Just enough. Just as they're starting to move towards getting the bomb planted. At that point, there really was no way for kUcheR to even know that Virtus were still in that site. He probably thought they'd be rotating to B with 14 seconds left, no one visible. So he had to make the move. Smart play by the Poles.
Very, very intelligent. It just goes to show how disciplined they are, because a lot of players, a lot of teams would have panicked there when you're getting towards below 10 seconds. Suddenly all bets are off. You just want to be charging into those sites. So very well played. VP already was 9 rounds. And T side of Overpass.
And they're playing against the saving team on this round. So they'll probably hold it. Maybe not. Maybe not.
With 2 picks up the AK-47, it's all going to be on Snax. He's a player that could clutch, but STYKO with a 4-man.
That's a crazy round. As I said, hold it. Hold it. Probably? No.
STYKO had something to say about it.
Yeah, that was a really nice round by him. It's actually kind of funny the way he went back to his 5-7 at the end there to get that final kill. I think he still had some bullets left. He probably would have connected on that final guy. But very good round by him. That's the second round. That was, I think the first round they won was a save round too, right?
Yeah.
So now they've lost nine other rounds and won 2 saves.
That's got to be a worrying sign for HellRaisers going through into the second map as well. But hold that thought, because maybe finally they will win a rifle round. That is a mouthful.
It certainly looks that way. As it's just Snax alone against 5 opposing team members. All the way back into T-spawn with 50 health. It's bound to be a round win.
Yeah, absolutely.
HellRaisers.
The question is, how much damage can he inflict before going down? Because he's still got a minute to play with. So
it looks like he might be able to catch Schneider off guard here.
Yeah, that's it. Oh.
Nope.
Nice headshot from Schneider.
It's unfortunate for HellRaisers that these 2 wins, the save round win and the following flawless round win, came so late. Because now you see they all of a sudden have a fair amount of money. So even if they were to lose this round, they still be able to afford a buy. And they at least can compete for the final rounds of the half. But when this happens, you always hope for that team's sake that it would have happened a little sooner, because it would have given them more to work with, as opposed to us just seeing Virtus.pro just run over them on partial buys. I think Pasha actually dinked Oskar there.
He did, yeah.
With his Tech 9 down to 40 health from really far away.
So Oskar goes for the aggressive play in mid and actually gets punished for it. Now, it may not prove to be too costly, because he's still expecting HellRaisers to hold on for this one, especially as STYKO has claimed the first kill, broken the deadlock here, lifted the silence, but byali right back in on Angel, who was kind of lurking in no man's land. And that's a weapon across. In fact, they don't get the weapon.
It's a bad habit of Angel, too. I mean, we talked about he's very aggressive, has positives and negatives, and that's one of the bad things that can happen with it.
Oh, yeah.
But it looks like his team is going to be able to clean up fairly easily. Just Pasha, all by himself, walking around in an empty bomb site, trying to look for opponents, but it's not going to be finding any over here. It's 40 seconds left, and it's most likely going to be a 4th round in the bank.
You'd certainly think so, especially considering that bomb is dropped in such a horrible place for Pasha.
So maybe, who knows, maybe they'll still get to your 6 rounds.
It's possible. But as you say, if they do win 6, that's only half the struggle. They still need that pistol round. When Pasha comes round, unfortunately for him, Schneider was already up there. You could see his crosshair was looking towards head height at the bottom of the stairs. And he will be locked down. VP have enough for a buy here, but it's not going to be a great one. By any stretch of the imagination. It's going to be full AKs, but a bit of a lacking on grenades overall.
So basically now, if HellRaisers win this round, the Poles are not going to have that much money for the final round, so they'd be favored actually to finish the half 6-9, which would still at least give them a fighting chance going into the second half, which, I mean, that's all you can really hope for when you're down 1-9 at that point.
Exactly. 1-9, you're thinking it's done. It's over. There's no chance. But now they've given themselves a lifeline. Interesting enough, Pasha had enough funds to go for the Kevlar here, but instead just went for the AK, maybe opting for that AWP next round. Not entirely sure. Of course, this round could very well still go the way of VP regardless. A 3-on-3, as we've been discussing, matters. A couple of those frags were in mid from the CTs. They've got some decent information down right now. That would suggest it's going to be a B play. And Angel is laid in wait. Still a lot of time to play for with the Harris pushing on in. That's a crucial frag from Angel. Not only does he get the kill, but he spots the other two players as well. He goes back into seconds, gets fragged, but did get the kill behind Neo. That is crucial. And although Neo still could get this bomb planted, which is going to give some funds towards the poles, HellRaisers desperately want this round. And now he's going to move into position, spots the first player, tags him down super low. It's going to be kUcheR's down to 11 HP, but Oscar's there with the 5-7 headshot. And HellRaisers will get a 5th round.
Another well-played round by HellRaisers. It seems like that round by STYKO certainly re-energized them after the horrible deficit that sort of just put them out of the game already at that point. So 4 straight round wins for them. Some momentum to go with. Not a lot of money on Virtus.pro. They do have all AKs, but actually they do have a fair amount of equipment now too. But in any case, definitely a winnable round. 2 ops, double ops for HellRaisers. And they're going to want this and the second half pistol to potentially even out the score.
Oh, that flashbang lands in the face of STYKO. He also jumped up there. I think the player who's in Playground would have heard that. And TaZ up from connector lands the frags, and this time the over-aggression really could prove to be costly for HellRaisers. They were looking positioned to maybe pick up that 6th round and give them a fighting chance. 10-5 is still going to be very favourable towards VP. Angel is there, spraying through, finally gets his man, but he's all by his lonesome. You can see the other player, Schneider's way back towards the T-spawn. He's got an AWP, but the bomb's about to get planted. And I've seen crazier things happen. Nothing's impossible in CS, but this is as hard as you like from Schneider's perspective. In actual fact, I think he's about to get fragged. He's not expecting that player up on balloons, and there we go. It's going to be pasha. 10-5, the halftime scoreline.
Still a reasonable score if you look at how the half is going throughout. I mean, at least now HellRaisers, they got 5. If they somehow win the pistol round and they break Virtus.pro's money, either in the next round or the round after, they'd be basically tied. That gives them a chance.
That's very true.
But, I mean, they must win this pistol round. That's where he starts. That's where he starts with. They must win this round here.
That's the problem. It's a lot of maybes, ifs, and buts right now for HellRaisers.
So let's see. Let's see what they choose to do here. It looks like it's going to be a fast push towards the A site with Angel smoking off top.
This is an interesting strat there. The flashbang completely stopped HellRaisers dead in their tracks, but they are now pushing onto the site. Now 4 players from Connector, from Virtus.pro, and Byali, who's in low, has landed the first shot. He's coming back for a second. Can't get it done, but Neo, in the meanwhile, did take down kUcheR, and now the rotation through the CT spawn towards A is coming in, and Virtus.pro have to get their skates on.
Yeah, and that was a nice rotation by HellRaisers to be able to go through there. 3v4. Angel is very low, but the next kill is going to be really important to how this round plays out.
Next kill surely.
Oh, but look at STYKO. He's just gets caught off guard there by pasha.
So unlucky. And well, there you go. The dominoes will fall into place, and Virtus.pro will have this pistol round, and surely that is them very close to the finishing line now.
It's very, very smart play by pasha there to be just far back at long for all of the HellRaisers players to think that there was no one coming from that way. Because if he peeked any sooner, STYKO was still looking that way. But he basically waited for his teammates to make the first contact and then peeked, was able to get a free kill, and that completely opened up the retake for them. It wasn't even a contest after that.
So we've seen this before. HellRaisers, after getting that bomb plant, will not be forcing. They want the AKs next round. But this time Virtus.pro have run with 4 assault rifles. So going through to the next round, unless something goes horribly awry and horribly wrong, you'd expect them to have a pretty decent buy-up going through into the 18th round anyway.
Yeah, and the polls definitely read this, as he said. They want to be ready for that next weapon round.
Absolutely. Read the script, they know exactly what's coming up next. And, well, this round I was saying, unless something goes horribly wrong so far, it looks like it's business as usual for Virtus.pro. 4 kills, Schneider left in the bathroom, wants to get that frag, can't get it done. Actually, the USP rings out supreme, and VP do not lose a single player in that round, so as good as it gets.
Very dominant round win. Now they have everything they could hope for in the first weapon round, basically. So it's going to be a tall order for HellRaisers to win this, and at the same time this round they absolutely must win, because if they lose this, it'll effectively, considering how low they're on money, most likely be 5-14, and that's a deficit you don't so easily come back from.
Yeah, not on T side of Overpass at least. As good as the likes of Angel are on this map, I think that's too tall an order. So this is do or die right now for HellRaisers. Mixing it up again, this time the bomb transitioning through long. Of course, that can easily wrap itself around through connect to the terrace, have control over that area of the map. VP are pretty much happy to just sit back and say, come at us, bros. We're all good here. We've got grenades still to play. We've got defuse kits. We've got everything we could ask for, other than maybe an open play.
The thing is, they know HellRaisers don't have money for equipment, so they don't want to be the ones pushing too aggressively and giving them a chance to get easy picks. They want to force them to execute without any nades to execute with. So they're basically putting all the pressure on HellRaisers to somehow get an opening here. And Angel's already been shut down at very low health.
Yeah, 13. So a single bullet, and he's pretty much a dead man at this point. You can see Pasha jumping up, trying to get some information through long. I think he did catch a glimpse of a player, or maybe even two of them. So you can see now that VP are starting to shape up towards that A side. Not much time to play with this. Sub 30 seconds. Snax is going in. Is this HellRaisers circling the drain? It certainly looks to be the case. The bomb is going to get planted. At least Molotov forces the terrorists out of position. They will relocate. Nice frag from oskar, but both the terrorists are super low. Angel, your last remaining terrorist player, spots the first but can't get anything done. Pasha's there, and VP will move to 13 rounds, and HellRaisers now have a decision to make. Do they want to go for broken force up here? Or are they just going to bite the bullet and go to 14 rounds?
Oh, they're gonna want to go for broke.
They've got enough funds to force if they want to here. It's not going to be fantastic though. Have to be some Tech 9s with armors if they want grenades and Kevlar.
Are they really not gonna buy? Can't believe this. Oh, just pistols, I guess. I really would have thought that they would buy. Then again, it is really hard. It's really hard to win those early buys because you don't have enough equipment to properly take over the sites. But at this point, you need some room to work with.
I suppose maybe like a half buy so they can buy again next round.
Yeah.
Gives them two shots rather than just the one. But you're seeing the issue with that is you leave yourself very vulnerable in this round, and then you're going to go to 14 anyway.
Yep.
So there could be a call for, you know, just bite the bullet, deco again, get an open play, try something different. But it doesn't matter anyway because VP are just destroying, dismantling HellRaisers. Again, a flawless round comes to fruition. VP are looking dominant, and yes, it will be a full buy up from HellRaisers, a pretty convincing one as well. But as I said, no open unless they want to glass cannon this one up. And that's exactly what oskar's going to do.
But that's an op without armor.
Yep.
Or without anything else. And that's why, was it really worth it for him to get that tech? Could he have maybe kept his Glock and just picked something up once the teammate died?
If he doesn't take that, he now has Kevlar and more grenades.
Exactly.
Oh.
His Deco's already down to 8 health. And
Rip.
boom.
Snax picks up the frag with Pasha claiming the assist. Snax, he has himself a scout. I say only, of course. When oskar has no Kevlar, that could still destroy him. And of course, those cheeky jump headshots are always a factor on this map. You can jump over those boxes and land devastating shots.
Just saw Angel there walk into the B side all by himself with no help from anybody else on his team. I think there's certainly an element of HellRaisers know that their team play as a whole maybe isn't quite there yet, especially with the stand-in and then having not practiced with the whole team that much to begin with. So they all individually probably feel like they need to do a little too much. And you know, when you try doing too much, it's not going to work out over the long haul. You need to figure out what you're good at and stick to that.
Well, because VP on their team side were doing nothing too spectacular. They were just getting the basics down.
Exactly.
They weren't going for crazy strats. Yeah, that's it, exactly. And you wonder as well with HellRaisers, yesterday I believe they had Simple, today they got Schneider, and they've had other replacements in the past. They got STYKO and oskar, who've been around the team now for a while, but not for months and months. You do wonder, do they have strats down? Do they have really slick plays in the back of their mind? Regardless though, a 10-round deficit comes in as HellRaisers have to claim the next 10 to take us to overtime. VP just have to convert one of these rounds and they are home dry. They will qualify if they win this round, and they will be going through to cash in our final map of this evening's proceedings.
Go just spamming the smoke, thinking maybe someone's hiding in there, but that is not the case. Virtus.pro is playing fairly passively now. Looks like Neo's gonna spot the terrorist coming out of long. Saw a leg there for sure, and connects but gets taken out by Schneider.
Oh, I'm super surprised that Pasha got caught by that. Like,
yeah, he definitely did not think that someone could have snuck out that close.
Yeah.
STYKO, Schneider, 2v2, unable to connect, and that's gonna be game here for the first of 2 maps between these 2 teams today. 16-5 for Virtus.pro, and that was a very lopsided affair.
And the worrying thing for me is that's the map that I probably would have given HellRaisers the better chance on against VP.
I fully agree. That was the map that I think that if they were going to win one, that's where you put your money on.
Cash should be VPs.
Yeah,
hey Dan, welcome.
I was also exactly the same, showing the same sentiment. I was like, Overpass, that's where they're going to do it. But that said, I guess a lot of their great results in Overpass did feature Simple. And we saw Schneider. What are your thoughts on Schneider's implementation into the team? Because there has been suggested that maybe he could be a more static fixture in the HellRaisers lineup in the future.
What implementation?
Of Schneider into the HellRaisers team.
No, I meant like...
Oh, just
has there been any? Because it didn't seem so.
In fairness, there wasn't many rounds either.
Yeah,
so
no.
so where did he go from?
Yeah, no, so I mean, I think he definitely could be a good player on that team, but it comes down to how they figure out their communication issues. I don't think he really had much to go with before that game. I mean, it's clear that they didn't really know what they were doing, and I think that led to some of their players taking too many risks. You see Angel just walking by himself, trying to be the hero. Because they probably didn't have anything to fall back on. He just felt like, this is it. If I do this, maybe we win. If I don't, then, you know?
I mean, you can't really take much away from that game in terms of Schneider for me. He was very quiet, but everyone was. You know, you can't say it was Schneider's fault. You can't single anyone out. Everyone was quite poor. Like, I just got to be realistic about it.
And just to draw a little difference between the styles of Simple and Schneider, Schneider can be, I think, the second best player of a very good team, a team that competes for titles. I'm not sure if he can be the superstar, the fragger. I think Simple can be the superstar. Simple's the kind of guy who opens up sites for you, who can dominate games. I think Schneider's the guy who you want on your team, putting in 20, 25 frags a game, and always doing what he's supposed to do. But he's not that same explosive talent that Simple is. I mean, there's very few people who can do what Simple does, right?
True.
So you can't really replace that. And unfortunately for HellRaisers in this game, the kind of explosiveness and impact plays that Simple has is basically the best thing you could possibly have for a team that doesn't have the strats down and everything else, because that's the thing that's the hardest to play against. You can't really counter skill if you don't know how that skill's going to play.
They are very, they tend to be quite free flow, do HellRaisers. So what are the future prospects going to be like then for HellRaisers, do you think? Because there's obviously a lot of issues here.
It's really difficult to call, isn't it? Because we discussed this off air before the match got started, the communication issues, the differences in languages. They've effectively got 2 people that speak Russian, 2 people that speak Croatian, I think you said, was it?
There's a lot of languages.
I've put you on the spot,
and sometimes they throw English into the mix as well. And Styk and Oskar are trying to learn Russian as well. So there's a lot of different languages in the mix.
Oh, Bosnian, wasn't it? I can't remember. It's Bosnian or Croatian, something like that. So you wonder how
Czech and Slovak.
I got there eventually. I only went through the entire of Europe first, but that's the point though. Like if Schneider does come in, they speak English half the time, they speak Russian half the other time. I think we mentioned that STYKO and Oskar may be learning Russian. Like that's pretty crazy. That's a lot of commitment.
So do you think it's fixable though? Because I mean G2 they had similar communication issues originally, although that said they did have a lot of lineup changes.
No, I mean, I think that's a pretty good precedent to show that it is fixable, for sure. It's just how much time you have to work with. A lot of the times, people tend to get sort of impatient if you have a couple months of bad results. I mean, kingWin, the current G2, they had their share of bad results. They were losing to people you may have never heard of online, 16-2 on cash in online qualifiers. They were getting hammered in their first months, but they stuck through it, and they eventually find a way to make it all work.
One thing I will say about G2 though, although I definitely agree with the comparison, I feel G2 overall have better individual players than HellRaisers do, and I think that's definitely going to help them as well. You know, you got Rain, the guy is a monster. Communication problems or not, just set him off on his leash and he'll go ham, probably at aces, clutches, all kinds of stuff. I'm not sure if HellRaisers have that kind of player. I agree. I think Schneider needs to be the consistent fragger. He needs to be the guy that just shows up, never explodes, but he's always there. Kind of what Get Right was doing on Train, right? On Cobblestone, where he didn't necessarily pull off any ridiculous highlight-worthy real stuff, but he was always there. 2 kills here, 2 kills there, 2 kills here. And I think that's what Schneider needs to be, but he needs somebody that can go off, go ham, and he just backs up. And right now they don't have that.
I think Oskar has the potential of being that. He's fairly impactful player in the sense that he plays the way that allows him to get those crazy rounds. Haven't seen STYKO play enough to really comment, but I mean, he's obviously very skilled. But that team really doesn't have all the roles down yet. It's just, I think it's just too early. I mean, we can speculate, but that's all it'll be. It'll be speculation. It's not even going to be educated guesses, you know? Like, we can just go off on our hunches and guess what they may do, how they may want to approach it. At the end of the day, they know what their issues are, and, you know, they have their fair share of work ahead of them.
feels like we put them in the same box as Titan almost, a team with issues. They're probably quite like fairly aware of their issues, but they don't know how to fix them. And
it's actually a really good comparison. I
I
would say they're very similar to Titan in a lot of aspects, actually, except for maybe they don't have the same level of history in CS. You know, when you look at the likes of RPK and such, that we know that they're capable of doing these crazy things. Never particularly seen it in CSGO just yet. Keeping your fingers crossed. Do HellRaisers have that in their locker? I agree, I think Oskar could be that player, but he's going to need time. They don't even have a fifth player that's set in stone right now, so it's always difficult to work around. You made mention of camera actually about Oskar and how he tends to pop in and pop out of the scene. Do you think the new money of CSGO is going to keep him around?
I mean, I certainly hope so. He's been a very good player. I think part of it has been that he's always been too good for his scene. He's always played with other Czech teams, and he's always been like the superstar. And even back in the 1.6 days, like 4 or 5 years ago, there would always be a match where he would just carry his team, and they'd upset someone pretty good or play like a top tier team very close, just because he was so good by himself. And I think that's part of why he kept kind of like popping in, popping out, because he knew that he wasn't going to get anywhere as a team. Because back then the international teams, they just weren't a possibility like they are today. No one really considered that, because everybody just thought that you play with the people from your country, at the very least people who speak very good English. And he wasn't there, at least back then. For me, it's always odd when you see players who sort of come and go. I think the way I approach things, I approach life is you either do something or you don't. I try not to double guess. I try not to like. When I quit playing, I knew that was it. I never thought about coming back, because I knew that I made my choice and that's it. So that's why for me it's hard to see how it works for people. I mean, some people, they do come back. Denny's quit for like a year. Just came back and he's still very good. Now he's leading Fnatic. So it's not that it doesn't happen. It's just like, for me personally, it's hard to see why. Because to me, if you're motivated and you want to be the very best you can be at Counter-Strike, you're playing Counter-Strike. You're not quitting to take like a average real life job if you want to play Counter-Strike. To me, every time people come back, it always seems like there has to be some odd motive behind it. And the way Counter-Strike is going, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard not to think that some of the people might be in it for the money. And it's fine, because you can't live without money. You have to be able to make money doing what you do. That's completely fine. That's fair. But you want to make sure that they're there to play Counter-Strike, and the money is just an added bonus that allows them to do what they do. Right.
I mean, exactly. Like, we can remove a lot of this kind of more sinister undertones, because, yeah, frankly, I mean, being someone who was a good player at a point where I would have loved to have made a living, but I had to make other choices in life because of like, well, I'm playing Quake in 2005. This is not a good life choice.
and we saw how the story would have played out had you continued down that path. Yeah, not that many Quake tournaments anymore.
But I didn't even get it later on, because I came back into esports at a point where I still wasn't making money. Just can't get it right, can't nail it.
Yeah, but now you're rolling in that FACEIT investor cash, so
it's great, because we do so much content that I don't have any need for an apartment. I can just stay in the studio.
So that's what the cot in the back is for.
Yeah, the hammock is pretty nice. All right, so to change it to maybe a kind of a nicer tone, VP have qualified, so that's good. Maybe it could be a pay a part to the story that they will have a resurgence, perhaps. I mean, VP are always an up and down team. And it feels like of any team is going to have a resurgence, it will always be them. But it was always going to be the same 5 players. Will we ever see VP become like a world's #1, do you think? Because they've always been hanging around top 4.
My gut's telling me no. I don't think they'll ever be #1. A lot of things would have to fall into place. Consistency for me is #1 for VP. Going through to LAN now, at LAN, if they all show up, they can beat anyone, right? They're known for their LAN performances. The issue is, though, that if they have one off game, they're awful. I don't think that's an unfair statement. VP, if they're having a bad day, they'll be the first to admit that they're terrible. They get beat by anybody. So to be a #1 team, look at Fnatic when they're on their tear. Very consistent. Consistently a solid lineup, a solid team. VP have never had that. That's what would need to change for them to go to the top.
Yeah, for me, it's very hard to think of Virtus.pro as a team who would slowly just resurface and become like the top 1 team over a prolonged period of time. I do think they can win a major. Honestly, people don't realize how close they were to winning ESL 1 Cologne. They beat Fnatic on map 1. I think they were up 13-8 on Inferno. Then that timeout happened. They lost that map. They lost third map. And I'd have taken them in the grand final if they went through that series. So they were very close, and they were one of the very few teams who could actually match up to Fnatic. I mean, obviously now it's different without Pronax, but I'm talking about the old Fnatic that I think is the greatest Counter-Strike team of all time now.
I should rephrase as well. When you say #1 team, I'm assuming you mean like over an extended period of time. I think they can win a major for sure. I think it can win any tournament they go into if they play well. But consistently, like let's say for 6 months, no, I don't think they could.
Because to me, they're almost kind of uniquely interesting in the fact that they're always going to be around a top 4 placing team. And I've seen this in other games as well, where you have a player, or you know, some players that will stay around that area, and they have the skill to defeat anyone, but they aren't the world champions, and they'll always be, you know, #4, sometimes #3, sometimes they'll be scarce, but they won't quite get there. So I'm always quite curious, you know, what is the cause of this? You know, what is the hurdle that needs to be overcome for these kinds of teams and players?
Well, I think one thing to, like, this only applies to Virtus.pro, but I think one thing about them is, you know, when they've had issues, they've always made big changes. They haven't changed players because that's not how they do things, but you'll see them like completely revamp their roles. This year earlier, pasha stopped opping. Now Neo's the main opper out of nowhere. And by the way, it's super impressive to me how Neo has completely changed his game. He's completely reinvented himself a couple times now. Because some of the newer fans may not know, but Neo was the best player in Counter-Strike 1.6 ever, probably. He was the best player who ever played. He was good at everything he did, and he carried a fairly subpar supporting cast at times, the titles against incredibly good teams. So then he comes to CSGO. All of a sudden, he's like a fairly average player on a good team. Wasn't even like a top tier team in the first year. Just like a pretty good team. And he still pulled all the way through it, and he became pretty good. And now as an opper, he's taken his game to a whole nother level. So to me, it's really impressive. For a lot of players, once they lose their edge, they never come back. They you know, it's just something mentally that's really hard to overcome. So that's really impressive. But what I was getting to in terms of consistency is that Virtus.pro changed a lot of things. They may not change players, but they changed their in-game leader. Like they changed that. They make big changes. They might completely swap the way they play certain maps, like move everybody around, give everybody new spots. They make these. They don't change players, but they change a lot of things, and I think that sort of is part of what hinders them in terms of consistency. Is I think they're a team that needs that change. I think they absolutely need it at times, but that's what doesn't allow you to create that incredible consistency of having 5 players play the same way for 2 years. You know, when NIP had the same lineup for a year straight, they all played the same roles basically for a year straight when they were doing super well. I
actually remember one time when they changed positions on Inferno for like one tournament. They're like immediately after like 2 maps, they're like, nope, not doing that anymore. Back to the usual.
No, exactly. They tried that a couple of times. You'd seen in like an online match, they have a completely new spots, and you're like, whoa.
They can't calm down, guys.
Yeah, so nothing works out. They're like, okay, just fall back. Come on, guys, let's go back to what we knew used to work. But that's why they don't build that same consistency, same team play as easily. Because even though they've had the same roster for either this month or next month, this month sometime it's gonna be 2 years. It might already be 2 years.
It must be close by now.
Yeah, because I think DreamHack Winter 2013 was their first event with this roster.
I think they signed that 2-year contract like last year in summer. I feel like it's last year summer was when they signed that 2-year contract. Yeah. I'm not sure, but it must be around 2 years, coming up to 2 years for sure.
But anyways, they've played together for a long time, but they make these changes, and every time they change playing styles, they change roles, they lose some of that consistency. Whereas when you played, that's one of the best feelings you have when you're a leader, and you played together for 6 months, played together for a year, something doesn't work, you just jump back in your brain to something you did 6 months ago, and you just call it out, and everybody probably knows what to do. But if since then you've all changed your styles and everything, you don't really do that, you know? You don't just tell like, hey, this time you do what Neo did, you do what pasha did. It's like, what did you know?
Right.
But you know?
Yeah.
So they lose some of that, like some of the extra something you gain over being a team over a long period of time.
Okay, just before we go into the promo, to wrap it up a little bit, speaking of roles, and because that's actually quite an awesome thing about this pro, right? So I'm going to ask each of you if there's a player that you could have doing a different role they're not necessarily doing now, or maybe they are doing now, something that you think they're very good at, or you think could make a positive change for Virtus.pro. Which player would it be, and what role would it be? And I can start with you.
That is a very good question. Wow. That's really tough to answer.
Because I would say Neo just doing anything where he's able to frag people, because he used to be more of a support player, but now that's with the AWP, he's showing that he is still world class.
As Lopez said, though, I think his AWPing is top class. I actually wouldn't change that.
So okay, so you want to go Neo on the AWP? That's fine.
I'd
cool.
stick with Neo what he's doing right now, because obviously Pasha's typically using the rifles now, and Pasha himself is no scrub when it comes to rifle work. Like, he's a solid rifler. That's a really good question. I need to think about that more, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, we have another map, so we can come back to it later.
Well, I mean, I like the fact that Neo sort of like carved him out a little edge in opping. He's doing really well, like you said. I'm not sure if I want to push that and just, you know, try to make him a really good rifler too. Maybe this is what he is now. Maybe this is what he should be now. What I always feel like is Virtus.pro don't try to use byali's aim enough. I think sometimes when he has those crazy games, he'll just do a lot of things for them. But I think you could sort of try to squeeze more out of him at times, especially when they're struggling. Because I think he does have that explosive aim, but he's not like an explosive player because of the way he plays. He's sort of like a passive player, which is why he's not maybe always using that aim that he has to the full extent that he could be used for. I think there's something more that could be extracted out of byali in those times when the team is struggling as a whole.
Yeah, I actually feel like sometimes with byali, it feels like he will deliver a lot of kills, but it always feels like they're kind of not necessarily awkward, but they're not really ideal situations. But he'll still make it work. He'll still kind of make it work. And I wonder what would happen if he got that position where the kills are set up in a way where they should be somewhat easy for him, because he's been put in the right position to excel rather than to try to like
the thing is,
clean
though,
up.
Again, it's the domino effect. If you set byali up, you could potentially take away from Snax's power. And I would not want to change anything to do with Snax. I think he is in the right role.
You don't mess with Snax.
Exactly.
I think you let Snax do what he wants to do.
The dude's a beast anyway.
Yeah.
Let's be real. He's huge.
He's the size of a bear, that guy.
Pretty much.
The best picture was Snax when he's like hugging Mihu. That was amazing.
So I wouldn't do anything with Snax. I would leave him as he is. And I feel if you force byali, well, not necessarily force, but if you put him in a position where he's more of in the fragging role, that could detract from some of Snax's power. So it's a very fine balance, I think, that you have to try and approach.
Overall, I kind of liked how Virtus.pro has their team set up now, because for a long time TaZ was really underperforming, and you had all those interviews where he'd just say after a loss, he'd be like, I suck, you know, I'm horrible at this game. I can't play anymore. Obviously he can, he just wasn't in the roles that he needed. And now Virtus.pro has 5 players who all play well. I mean, they come and go, like the whole team. They come and go, they have their bad games and good games. But at least everybody contributes, you know? They've all find spots for themselves where they can all have good games.
All right, well, guys, it's time to do a quick cobblestone case giveaway. I think we have time for that before we go to the ad break. And let's see who has won.
Let's see if it's a Mac 10 Indigo again. Let's go.
Who is the winner, Reese?
The winner is Leon Lost.
Liam, what, sorry?
Leon Lost.
Leon Lost?
Leon Lost, I think it was.
Leon Lost. Well, Leon Lost, it's time. It's your time.
I'm going to call, it's a CZ Chalice. Let's go.
It's going to be, it's just more grey. More grey crap. Scar 20 Storm. We've had, I think that must be one of the most
combo breaker
common ones we've had.
No more Indigo.
What is this madness? We don't have Dignitas this time.
It has Exist's signature. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
It's got Titan on
well,
that, I think.
Congratulations,
it really is perfect, especially after the conversation we had earlier.
Yeah. I like it.
Of being Exists.
All right, guys, it's time for a break. We'll be back with the final match of the last broadcast here for the FACEIT Online European portion of the league.